up until August 7th. It's 20% off for the entire period. Don't forget to get Nathan's new Archon of Knowledge skin, one of my favorite MSC skins that we've ever released. And you can also get MSC coins, the battle mode, the returning skin of Atlas, the Jawhead Space Explorer skin, and many more rewards. You do not want to miss out on that. All right, so the drafts for game number 2. We were unanimous that RRQ drafted a much easier lineup to pull off. SRG kept up with them mechanically, but I think now the focus shifts away from the center of the map. You're really gonna have to look now at what Dyron ends up with and how well Cram, with his pick, can stop Dyron from doing what Dyron does.
I want to agree with you, but at the same time, what it really boils down to is whether or not the mid is going to get effective because of Dyron on the other side. Like, I mean, look at this quote from Rins.
He did mention that during M6 that he wasn't like completely in the zone. There were a few things that was sort of like bothering him, but now in that game number 1, it really didn't look like it. He was very confident on that juice in.
Cut to Innocent taking him out right in the pace. But that's Innocent things, man. Innocent can do no wrong right now. But I want to touch on what you said, Renmar. You know, in terms of draft, honestly, SRG's draft won me over halfway through that game. I don't think their draft was any worse than RQ's, but I will agree that I think RQ's draft was a bit harder to pull off. There was a bit more things that they had to do in sense of hit certain skill shots. The timing of that Fury of the Phoenix had to always be perfect, whereas RQ's draft was just a bit more straightforward for me. Everyone had a very easy objective. I agree they had a very easy objective, but then it's really your coin flipping every single time for SRG, right? It's like I have to mechanically outplay you, and Sutsujin's only worry is, am I going to get tsunami slammed, and can I lock down some guys?
As we head into the draft for game number 2, surprise, surprise, what I have been telling everyone should be the pick of MSC 2025, the Akai, is banned in the first phase by SRG.
So do we see a Fredrin ban as the last one from SRG? Pure target onto Sutsujin, because it's true, all we've seen from RQ so far is utility jungle.
Oh, they're trying to get Sutsujin into the assassin mindset.
Let's go toe for toe, ninjas in the jungle, baby. I think they actually won't ban out the Fredrin here for the side of SRG. I think they actually want Sutsujin to be on the Fredrin because then it is more straightforward as to what they want. And at least for the side of SRG OG esports, right? I think even if they get the Fredrin at this point, it's also not too bad. Ooh, the Ruby ban for the side of RRQ.
It's because the YSS could have been open. And essentially, you take out the Ruby, YSS is now sort of softly taken away as an option.
I think YSS is going to get first pick by SRG's side. Yeah, it's something they've picked up before. It's something we've barely ever seen. I think they have to pick it up. But how does it fare against the Fredrin? You get hit by that taunt when you come in? I feel like it could be something similar to the Joy, where if you come in too close, you're in a kind of a bad spot. Well, I mean, it's the same problem that you have with Lancelot, right? You're basically trying to use your iframes, the traceless in this case, to kind of stay ahead of the game. But honestly, let's see, right? Because Yishin Shin has been picked up whenever it is open, especially when Red Side doesn't ban it for a majority of teams.
And if they go YSS here, that means SRG could end up with a double carry at most. The double marksman strategy that we've been seeing all throughout MSC. So RQ are going to lean into the juice, and now Kaleo combo at the center of the map with strong control. I think SRG, they need to take a page from RQ's book, and they might want to consider picking up the Badang now.
Badang definitely be clean. Maybe lock in their mage a little earlier this time.
Oh, yeah.
I think that could definitely be a possibility as well. But now that they have something like the YSS, I'm excited to see exactly how it plays out. I think right now what it's riding on is whether or not you can get a winning matchup for the side of EXP. I'm trying to think of synergies right now, because that's what blue side, especially within this first phase, really set up for. And can we set up for second phase strong synergies or strong laners? And in this case, it's going to be strong laners for the side of SRG. The CC, I'm okay with. The Farsa, I'm a little worried for, considering that, Gatot hasn't been picked up as a counter engagement.
Yeah, really great pick here by RQ, considering that you don't have to worry about the Phovis on the other side, and you needed someone to reach that Farsa. Arlot's a great pickup for Dyron.
Yeah, but at least I will say with them picking it up this early, there's not as many counters as RQ had last time against some of those long-range mages.
Yeah.
So I think this could be comfortable. The CC, though sometimes we see the XP lane get pushed back into second phase, CC's just solid overall, right? She can't really do any wrong. You do kind of lack your crowd control here a little bit, but they can make up for that in second phase.
They take away the Granger, so they're taking away the reach as much as possible from Innocent, but then RRQ doesn't have enough pieces right now to actually make, if ever hypothetically, they decide to go Harith in the gold lane.
I mean, they don't have to go Harith, right? There's still Moskov available. They can still play Claude if they wanted to as well, all of which do pretty decent into the far set. At the end of the day, we've seen that Toy is actually pretty capable of taking on, like, Innocence Moskov in a 1v1 scenario. And even then, I'm still a little worried about a couple of things. Number one, whether or not Gatot is a consideration for RRQ for banning, or whether or not SRG is going to completely take out the Fredrin at this point. There we go. Now, we're forcing them to go into an assassin section, which then again, let's say if RRQ get access to Lancelot, then there's a big question of, is there enough burst with the Kalia?
I think at this point, I think you still maybe ban out the Lancelot, maybe you ban out the Hayabusa, something of that nature. You're right, though, lack of burst. They have the Jushin. They don't really have that on the side of RRQ. It's mostly chip damage right now. So, and then they ban the Granger against themselves as well, which could have been a really decent, right away pickup for them, being first pick in second phase. Where does RRQ go from here, honestly? I feel like they're in the bad spot of this draft right now.
Excuse me, they banned the Phobies?
There's a possibility, because keep in mind, RQ is the only other team that puts CC in the gold.
Yeah.
So they're thinking that the CC might go into the gold lane.
And they did it last time they had the YSS. They went Ruby, Dairoth against CFU, which, yes, it's very different. Well, the point is with the burst damage of a Farza and a YSS, it is very doable. And they could even pick something that's a bit more aggressive that still output damage, something like the Dairoth. I'm not crazy about it, but you get my point, right?
Yeah. So for SRG's last ban, I think I'm on the same boat as you guys. Just ban out an assassin. It is the Hayabusa. One of the things you want to go for if you have a Farsa in your lineup, and considering where the YSS will be compared to the rest of the team, they do end up picking the Harith away from the side of SRG, if ever SRG was looking for a more traditional carry in the gold lane. So, are they gonna lean into the double fighter setup to supplement this YSS is the big question now for SRG.
I think it's going to be really difficult to actually go for this, like, double fighter setup at this point. Because, yes, they've got the damage, but at the same time, getting picked off from the side of RRQ is also highly likely, right? They've got good ways of disengage. They've got a great pickoff hero in the Kalia. So sustaining through the damage is always a possibility. And I think the only one that we should be worried about was the Ruby, but it's already banned out. So it forces SRG, unless they've got some really deep pockets in that gold lane, to say, hey, Innocent, what other fighters can you play?
Definitely something. They go for the Claude, though. Still need a roamer, and I think they need some crowd control. They do take the Gatot, solid, something that can still hold down the front line. On the side of RQ, they need some physical damage at this point. I think the Lancelot's probably their best option here.
They can go Lance, they can go Ling. I don't think there's anything else that's pretty crazy, but I think that SRG are banking that's like, sure, you could play Ling, but then you're late game. If you play Lancelot, the first two items are the most important, and we don't believe in your mechanics enough to get away with it.
Yeah, you need the raw damage. The Arlot and Kalea, with what SRG's looking like right now, might not be able to last that long. So they do go for the Lancelot. They get that burst. How are we feeling about these drafts? Which team are you siding with?
I really like the SRG draft right now. I think it's very straightforward. I think it's clean. I think it's a bit simpler than what they tried to do last time.
I think that it's still going to be a 50-50 between the two teams. We're going to see something very similar to the last game.
Yeah.
A bit of a switch in roles, but I think SRG's lineup will scale much better.
I'm on the same boat as Trex here, leaning a little bit more towards the SRG draft. But let's see, maybe Darren might pop off again for RRQ, completely throwing her predictions out of the way. So, bring it in, nice. What about you two? What do you guys think about the draft for this game number 2?
Thank you so much, panel. I'll tell you what we think. I'm going to go with RRQ here. I think they had a great game last time, Brigida. Dyron was locked in, and he's got the Arlon in his hand. That is a little more risky, though, because we've seen some final slashes change the course of games, either for better or for worse. So you guys can let us know in the comments as well what you guys think, who has the better draft for Game 2. Welcome to the Land of Dawn here. It's this best of 5 to move on forward. Brigida, who what do you think? Are you going with the boys on the panel?
Okay, I think we're gonna be split in terms of what we think when it comes to the draft for game number 2, because as much as I wanted to side with RRQ as well, granted what they were able to accomplish in game number 1, and given that they had the Jushin Arlon combination, that could be paired up well with their other heroes. The AoE that SRG has right now and the type of lineup that they have looks too good in terms of team fights, and well, they must be played to coordinate well enough to be able to make things work, right? And if that's going to be the case for SRG OG heading into this game, then things may be, one, a lot more simpler and a lot more better for them, I feel.
I feel like the early game, especially when these level 4s are available, RRQ could really punish in the early objective takes for the Turtles. A lot of that, again, comes with the fact that that is just the power of a Kalea. That's why a lot of teams like to go ahead and pick that up. You also throw in the Arlot, that kit to go ahead and help you out. There's a whole lot that they can do in these early fights that gives them a advantage when it comes to early team fights. Now, where does SRG OG Esports come into that? They have just quite a bit of damage early on, which they can go ahead and do. Taking a look at the first blood rates here, this is how much these teams like to fight, as you can already see here. He should be finding pretty tanky.
Yeah, literally fighting in as early as now, less than 2 minutes into this game, but
We've seen some early first blood.
Yeah,
30 seconds or so.
26?
26.
There has been one, which was at 26 seconds. That's true. That happened in the group stage, so we're yet to see that happen in the knockouts because teams tend to play a little more cautiously, and that's for sure, but that does not seem cautious at all. What a surprise setup coming in from Zyra. They get to burst down Rinse first. However, Stormy trying to hold on to your life, but he won't be able to survive that as well. Sutsujin really gets hold of the objective for his team, but it's a beautiful curtain called Yo-Yo Blitz coming in from Cram. Finds a way to respond to RRQ, but Dyron, he buys some time for Sutsujin to steal away the orange or the purple buff.
Okay, a whole lot happened there. Suzuki should be fine. He's gonna throw never. Oh, he's so close to dying. Again, earlier even Sakai is getting that charge up, the shot in there, but man, so Turtle goes to RRQ. That was a fight started from the final slash like we've expected to happen there. But even when you get that down, if you are in a position where you're kind of outgunned, outdamaged, that's what I was saying with SRG's lineup, they have a lot of good early damage. And so when you jump into that fight, and mind you, 2 of those kills went to Cram. So this might be one of the games where it's like Cram now has this lead against Dyron. He's got 2 early kills on a CC, which is going to allow him to go ahead and duke it out, but already up top.
And 3 members are going to actually punish him right there. So as you mentioned, they are looking to secure that early advantage for Cram once again. And I believe this happened earlier too. They just have to really keep it close. But the Salmon Force already committed by Toy doesn't get to actually fully answer back though. The BMI for the Claude has been such a crucial part as well in the way that he's able to keep himself safe. Has to be extra careful though because the other members of SRG OG are also down bottom as well. But going back, we can't even say anything about what happens in terms of the lineup because for now, RRQ will try to burst down Yumes. Is it the right decision? However, Sakai's actually pretty low as well. They're doing a great job at just sustaining and holding on despite all that early game damage you mentioned.
Brigada, it's still the same thing. Both teams going back and forth already in game 2, just like they did. They're looking to make a play up here on Cram.
Oh,
nice final slash.
That's a beautiful lantern flare, final slash, but now they get tied with the curtain call. Both Adok and Dyron get taken out right before the turtle.
See, that's crazy because like RRQ just ends up, surviving that whole interaction in the mid lane. They could have just started probably the turtle. They go for a play up top, and now they're going to lose this objective of an SRG. Cram will go ahead and zone out as much as possible. Susujin, and they might get some more. I mean, they have to respect this. They flicker forward.
Look, such an aggressive decision coming in from RRQ, and that cost Riz his life. Dyron still decides to go in, though. Does use the final slash. Gets the kill on to Sakai. He actually does. A nice follow as well coming in from Edok, but the blazing to it from Innocent might force them to get away. Salmon Force already committed by Toy, but will he be able to find a trade? Edok will fall next. Crab battling up against Toy, but finds a way to escape, but no!
Hey, if they want those kills, they're going to go for it. So many aggressive flickers being used. Finally, Cram goes down because he was 5-0 for a second there. And RRQ had to get something. They had to get the shutdown going. We're going to look at the instant replay here from STC. This was all started. Look at this.
With the flicker.
Prince goes forward. They get caught in a bad position, but still, it also brings it to a fight here where then Dyron can join. He uses the final slash, but this whole time, both gold laners also rotating towards this fight. I mean, if we had 51 kills earlier,
Yeah.
I don't know how many we're going to have this time in game 2.
We might be exceeding that even if the pace keeps going like this. But even despite the early lead that Crab was able to establish, or SRG OG was able to establish for their XP lane, RRQ are actually the ones who get to convert into a turret first. There's not too much of a significant lead in terms of the other laning matchups. It's just mostly really on the EXP lane. And so RRQ, I feel like that's one thing you'd really have to look at because they tend to overextend in a way. I mean, we're still in the 6-minute mark of the game, yes, but these are decisions that can immediately be punished by a single curtain call, and that applies to whoever decides to go in, be it Rins with the flicker on the Chushin and whatnot. So like, those are things you have to calculate a bit more if you were RRQ.
This is good, though, from RRQ, because, again, you know, based off the rematch that we remember seeing, or the match we remember seeing from M6, RRQ definitely comes into this series a lot more aggressive. You know, they are a team that likes to be a little more foundational, a little more stick to the book here.
Yeah.
A lot with these objectives, and they're going to have to fight for the second turtle. They are dealing with the pressure from SRG's lineup. There's a jump on in.
Oh, AOG curtain call. Beautiful call coming in from RRQ, but Sutsujin still gets the turtle for his team. Edok, though, will be punished here. Double kill for Cram. Riz just trying to scare away the other members from chasing them, but that was clearly somehow a bit more favorable for SRG.
Yeah, they get a couple kills off of it. They get some pressure. They dealt with Toy. Toy was starting to scale up pretty well in this Harris.
Whoa.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, those are very aggressive combinations coming in from SRG. And then somehow Dyron gets to cancel that feathered airstrike, but that was a close call for Rins. Okay, so going back, I know he did mention that RRQ will hold on. Sutsujin, will he get to escape this? Crab doing a great job at pressuring him as he tries to defend that tier 1 down bottom.
If last game we saw
Oh my goodness.
RRQ's XP laner Dyron have a great game, now this time it's Crams for game 2. 7-1 and 2 now. This CC is starting to be a really big problem. Actually, it's been a problem for the majority of the game, but whoa, hold on.
That's a lot of damage coming in from Stormy. The other members didn't even have to do much. They just stood right in front of them, blocked their way to trying to cancel Stormy out or answer back, and now that's a Zaman Force coming from Troy. Tries to burst down Cram, but he gets to bounce away. So not even, like, SRG can afford to do those kinds of plays because they have the mobility to keep themselves safe.
That's one of the things that the panel is really trying to paint a picture here too. You know, there's, in terms of damage potential from RQ, it's a little bit more difficult because yes, you need the scaling from a Harith, but again, if Sutsujin hasn't been able to utilize much because of this zone potential that a Farsa gives. I know Gideon mentioned that he was a little worried about it, but so far it's working really well in terms of damage. That's all the Farsa really does. Like, you are a big artillery setup for your team to play around that feathered airstrike, and they've done so well at catching targets. I mean, you lay that down, you have an Avatar of the Guardian, you get to jump on in. It's such a damage zone of that RQ wants to stay away from, because then Innocent can just come through with the Blazing Duet. So we're seeing a lot of these ultimates from SRG, OG Esports work really well in conjunction with each other, and it's RQ that's trying to scramble and be like, how do we approach these fights? What do we do? Because a lot of that is this final slash.
Oh, Phantom Execution doesn't connect, but they still get the kill on Stormy. However, one man down for SRG OG. And that is one way you could also use your resources in conjunction with one another for RRQ. Like, just take them by surprise like that.
They want to take down one of the biggest damage dealers. They're going to be fine. There's the initiation, though.
2 or 3 man knockup done right there. But with the Blazing Duet, SRG OG are actually able to hold out. It's a triple for Crab. Could possibly be a maniac. And he finds it on the CC. 11-1 and 3.
And he's going to get the Lord. Cram is right now the team. He is doing everything.
Yeah.
Look at this. The initiation comes through. But Cram is fine. With a vengeance, with as stacked as he is, he just does so much damage to RRQ around here. And, you know, you're sitting here, he gets a Maniac, and then they get the Lord. Like, how do you stop this? And this is such an interesting thing because CC takes a very specific lineup for it to really work the way it has. But so far, it's been phenomenal in the hands of Cram for game 2. And this is giving a huge swing in favor for them. RQ doesn't really have an answer to deal with this. We usually see CCs do well in damage, but look, he's sitting at number 1, pretty far ahead of a Barca. That is insane that he's actually able to do that. And also, a lot of this has to do when he jumps on into this, he pops the Vengeance, and he's fine. He's also tanky and does so much damage.
Yep. That'll be a lot of bounty if ever they do get to find a kill onto Cram, but that might be something that will be a bit tricky to pull off if you're RRQ because you have to pay attention to a lot of other stuff. Because the other members can decide to go in whenever they like. There's the AOG, there's the Blazing Duet, and right now you're seeing the Feathered Airstrike. They'll have to work on clearing and taking down the Lord first before they proceed with anything else. And looking at it right now, Dairen does have the Flicker if they'd want to decide to go for something, but you'd also have to consider, would it be best to actually use it as a means to cancel out the other members of SRG OG instead? But he decides to use it as a setup, gets the follow-up from the other members, and Sekai is the first to get targeted down, but the AOG denies Sunshin on the escape, and now Innocent goes in with the Blazing Duet, will find the kill onto Ritz as well, and the Feathered Airstrike will nearly catch up to E-Dog. But that was clearly a decision by RRQ. They wanted to force a fight right there.
That was a risk, if anything, Brigida. I mean, they chose to fight. They thought, you know, we cleared the Lord, we can handle this, we're going to go for it. Now they're going to lose this base turret. And even so, it's been time and time again where we've seen this final slash used to start some of the fights, and RRQ ends up just losing it. And that's really tough because you got to think, who do you final slash? How do you win that fight? Because even if you slash Cram into the equation, again, he's going to pop the Vengeance. He's going to be able to go ahead and just kind of bounce around the team from RRQ. And that was also the window for Innocent to go ahead and come in with that Blazing Duet. So you're just in a really tough situation if you're RRQ to make this lineup work. And it's really showing that the draft difference here. I mean, from start to finish so far, SRG OG Esports has just been able to go ahead and capitalize on a lot of the decisions they made, but also just the way that this lineup works. Now it gets even more difficult to deal with Cram because he's got an immortality.
And he's still on that 11-1 KDA. Now we put a bit more highlight on him. Also nearly, or actually completed his build already on the CC. So that just adds up to the reasons that RRQ might find it a bit more difficult to deal with him, even if you want to potentially take him out first as probably one of the members who gets to extend a little bit further deep into the fight. But even when they decide to go for him or the Tsunami Slab, it does not seem to be the best possible decision. Toy gets blasted as well, so Sijin tries to go for Stormy, but just repositions with the Wings by Wings. And Innocent decides to go in as well with the Blazing Duet. They might actually try to go for this base turret.
They're going to jump into the base. They don't have any waves pushing into the mid lane just yet, but they can go ahead and wait for that one on the bottom to come up. They will just ignore the Lord, it seems. There's still 10 seconds on Edok to come up, so we'll see if SRG decides to end the game on this push.
There's a concealed play. They definitely want to look for something here. Final stack already committed by Dairen, but Innocent, he will just be targeting the turrets right here. Dairen buying a lot of time, but the curtain call is already committed onto him. Gets bursted down as well. There's a Tsunami Slab, but Edok, he won't be able to sustain. And now SRG OG, they